my little, welcome back, my little bandsaw at home, so I can adjust this a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is cut these out. And first I'm gonna cut along here so I get like a strip. I have more to hold on to. And this is a little wider blade than the one we have on at school right now, so it's a little tighter, harder to turn, tighter curves. And again, I wouldn't want to reach my fingers in near the blade. So I can do what's called, kind of do some relief cuts, do a cut that's relatively straight and easy to back out of. So instead of trying to get the whole turn, especially with a little bit wider blade, I can kind of chunk it out. Now it's this section, but I'm gonna get some of this off at the other end. Again, keeping my hand out of the path of the blade, move away from it. So I couldn't be able to turn there, so I can go in twice. And then I can kind of take this piece away now. Take him away.
So essentially what I'm doing is trying to cut away sections one at a time, leaving me the biggest piece to hold on to, so that I have as much to hold on to farther away from the blade as possible. So just sort of moving along at that pace.
Always clean up your mess when you're done. So on that one that I cut out of the clay, or you can do other things where you laminate. I'm going to kind of play with this a little bit, make sure I can make pencil marks to get it lined up the way that I want to, so it curves the way that I want to, so then go back in and sand the shape. But first I need to glue it together. So I got them numbered, and I could take and sand these more a little bit, but I'm going to just want to. You can either use the the bottle like this, or you can dip a brush into the glue, pour it out into a little cup. But you want the glue sort of evenly covering the surface. Sometimes it's nice to have a little tool to kind of spread it a little bit. You can use this little stick. Kind of make sure it's covered. If you put a lot of glue on, it'll tend to like hydroplane around when you clamp it down. Now, if you're really in a hurry, you could nail or screw it together. But again, these pieces kind of being small can get tricky. You're gonna drill pilot holes and make sure that you so I'm going to put, that's 2, I'm going to put 3 on. Spread it around.
If you do use nails or screws, make sure that they are not going to be in a spot where you're going to sand. They'll show, and they'll also they will create sparks and cause problems with the sawdust. If it does happen, you can kind of punch them in a little bit with a nail set. And putty over them if you have to. So, and then remember again to kind of put the glue evenly as possible. All right.
Now I got that glue, and I want to have some pressure on there for at least. When you're done, you can use a rag, or if you have fingers, you can use fingers. But this type of thing goes up and down. These kind of this type of container. So right now it's popped up, so you can do it. It's good to wipe it off, push it down so that it closes that, and then wipe all the residue away. Use a rag or something, or your fingers. Clean that off so that it works next time. If you don't do that, they just get solidified together. So I can use a clamp on this, and again, if you used a lot of glue, it'll tend to want to slide around on you. press it a little bit. But there's enough surface area. If you're putting two pieces of wood together like this, you definitely need, this is your only surface area you got glue on, you definitely want some sort of pins or nails or something in where they make biscuits or dowels, things that fit inside there. If you're gluing like that, you've got so much surface area with not as much pressure this way, that is fairly strong. That's sort of what we're relying on with this. So I'm going to make sure this is, again, this bar clamps that we looked at before. And take this guy and slide it up, make sure they got some threads on the other end of it there. Now if I clamp way out here on this edge, it's going to tilt that piece. So I'm trying to find a spot. Sometimes what I can do that. I can grab another little scrap of wood out and sandwich it in there so that if I don't have enough to grab onto on the top, that can kind of help. So I can make sure I can double check that I got it the way I want it, and I can turn this to tighten it. And kind of watching all those joints. Now the wood was a little warped. You can see it you can see the glue kind of oozing out a little bit. Tighten that down really well and leave that. It's best if you can leave it overnight. We can also tape it. Or use nails to pin and hold it together. All right, so that, and then we can go back and sand. All right, so then you can see some of where the sections were. I just kind of started rough sanding it a little bit. Can be refined quite a bit with sanders, but that kind of blockiness can be taken away. It's still quite blocky, and you would use sandpapers. And even some of the die grinders and stuff to get into tighter areas and details. Those little rotary rasp sanding tools can get into tighter areas. And if you have problems where, you don't want to go that far and it's a little off there, you could fill that in, or you can sand down into it. I mean, this is just kind of roughly put together, and you can still see like the section, like where the layers are. So, and that's going at it. This is a very rough, I think it's like a 40 grit sandpaper, kind of really coarse. You can see on there that I would go with an 80 to refine it and shape, do a lot of the shaping, and then the 120 to kind of finish before painting. Right? Possibilities.